Let's get some analysis from Hassan Khannenje, the director of the Horn International Institute for Strategic Studies, and he's joining us from Nairobi. Hassan, thanks so much for speaking to us. So when the RSF's leader says he's formed this rival government now, what sort of validity is there to that? Is Sudan headed to a Libya-style situation?
Yeah, technically it already is there, except, the fact that, of course, the parallel government is not the one that is internationally recognized. However, facts on the ground, I think, have proven that no faction has control over the swaths of the country. And I think the recent, attempts by RSF to declare parallel government is also an attempt to establish some kind of legitimacy in trying to make their case when it comes to the governing and the political leadership of Sudan.
Who has any legitimacy here? Is it the Sudanese army, or is it the RSF, or is it very much dependent on who the international community is going to back?
I think by and large it depends with who has the most support of the international community. Today, as things stand, it looks like the Sudanese armed forces enjoy a greater semblance of legitimacy internationally, in large part because they tend to be the ones being entertained in foreign missions as well as in diplomatic circles. But RSF has been trying to build the same legitimacy by presenting itself as a more inclusive outfit as opposed to the military that I think is accusing of having either Islamist roots or being largely exclusivist in terms of its orientation, especially to the, yes.
Sorry, Hassan, do you believe that the RSF is more inclusive, as they say? I mean, they talk about a government of peace and unity and uniting all Sudanese people. Do you believe they themselves believe that, or are more suited to leading than the Sudanese army?
Actually, none of the factions is inclusive to the extent to which it incorporates the most elements of the country. However, I think RSF, what it's trying to do is that they have the plurality of the Sudanese population, which of course is not true. But I think it's going to depend on which camp is going to drive the narrative more successfully, especially when it comes to selling to the international audience, as well as other regional and external actors.
What does this all mean, though, for the Sudanese people? Because you have these administrative bodies that the Sudanese army has already established, now the RSF. The fighting, though, of course, is continuing, and the Sudanese people are the ones caught in the crossfire, especially those in Darfur, who have, of course, been through so much over the past few decades.
The Sudanese people have paid heavily, both in blood and treasure, and they continue, I think, paying a heavy price as a result. Now, the competing visions as well as claims to legitimacy in terms of rulership of the country, of course, they do not bode well when it comes to attempts to reach a settlement. I think what we are likely to see is an escalation in a way that perhaps makes peace increasingly difficult. In fact, the recent escalation, especially by RSF, can directly be attributed to the setbacks they've suffered in Khartoum. And so, as an attempt to offset that, of course, they're escalating somewhere else in the hope that this is going to strengthen the negotiating hand at the negotiating table.
We're going to have to leave it there, but so good to speak to you, Hassan Khannenje, the director of the Horn International Institute for Strategic Studies. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.